Hi, Kimberly. Thanks so much for speaking with me today. Congratulations on the People's Choice Award and just the success of your film. It was did very good for a horror film. I know saying for a horror film is like a bad thing, but I'm curious actually what made you go into that genre for this choice.
Well, at the end of the day, I really love movies. I love stories, and I'm very open to all genres. I love a Western as much as I love a drama, as much as I love a horror film. But for me, it's all about the characters. And, I was lucky enough to read this book when I was a kid, and I loved it. And then when they asked me to do a version of it, and I bought the novel, and I happened to be on a 15-hour flight, and the hours just passed, and it was a page turner. Carrie White is so engaging. You fall madly in love with her. She wants love and acceptance like we all want it, but she's got such great circumstances. She is not attractive. She's not socially skilled. She's been protected by her mother. She goes to school. She's not very good at, getting along with the other kids. They bully her, the girls in particular. And she comes home and she's got this extraordinary relationship with her very unusual mother, Margaret White, who has created her own religion, is terrified of sex, is terrified of the fact that she enjoyed sex, loves her daughter, but is very punitive. I mean, they just were amazing, propulsive characters. And then this story just unfolded where Carrie develops these powers and she thinks it's her way to survive. And then all of a sudden she gets asked to the prom and she has the chance to live what she considers a normal life. And we know it's all going to explode. So it was a superhero origin story. It's a great mother-daughter story. It's a great revenge thriller. It fills your mind when you read it. So I just wanted to make it into a movie.
Great. There's two things going on with this. You've got obviously an adaptation of a book that's been adapted several times before. But then you've also got some elements of the story that you've updated to make more modern with the social network bullying and whatnot. How did you balance between wanting to stay true to the source material and making it something that teenagers today could relate to?
It's a great question. Stephen King writes these amazing stories that are kind of set in a late 50s world, and they're set in New England, so they have a certain personality to them, and you want to be true to the personality of these books. The great thing is that what he wrote was classic, but it was also ahead of its time. So a number of things were still really relevant. But then there were other things that we had to update. For instance, the way that the kids bully each other. I wanted to make sure that it was representative of what's going on now. Now, the truth is, everybody has a cell phone. Kids at school, we have cell phones. What are we doing with them? We're generally texting. We're taking photographs of ourselves, of our friends, and then we're going home and we're uploading them. And so that was why I knew that when the girls were giving Carrie a hard time in the shower, I love the fact that Chris pulls her phone out, and what does she do? She's filming what they're doing to Carrie, but then she immediately turns it around and she's goofing off and laughing, and she's filming herself because there's a level of narcissism. Well, then what does she do? It's not enough that just happened. She's got to go home and she's got to upload it. When you upload something, it ends up getting downloaded. So these were some of the things that were really fun to me, and I knew it needed to come back. So I looked at the blood dump scene and I thought, wow, it's going to be devastating that the blood hits Carrie. It always is. Can I make it any worse? And that was the reason I wanted to put the fact that they take the original violation, what they did to her, and they upload it on those screens. Because what could be worse than having blood dumped on you? Seeing that original violation on screens, it's undeniable. You can't erase it. So I felt it was imperative that the movie was a reflection of our times. And the fact that, nowadays kids, people, whether they go to school or they go to work, if something bad happens, it's even worse that you can't escape it. That's what so many teachers and so many principals and so many parents told me, that the worst thing is you can't move to the next town. Doesn't change it if it's up on the internet. So that was really interesting to me.
Absolutely. I'd like to hear if you could tell us a little bit about the audition process for Chloe. You went with an actual teenager this time for the role of Carrie White, and I want to know, were you hesitant at all with the restrictions that come with using an underage actor?
Well, it's a good question. I mean, Avi Kaufman and I, she's my casting director, we had a wonderful time. We looked all over the country. Had a lot of girls audition from the States. We had girls audition from England and Germany, all over the world. And I wasn't intent on having a teenager. I was very open-minded to what I might find because I think a great actor is a great actor. What I found in Chloe, which was amazing, was by having somebody who is the age of the girl in the book, there is a level of vulnerability that's just inherent. She is a kid. And she is a kid and she is a daughter to her mother in a way that is unique because that relationship for her is still very much intact. She's very close to her mother. And Julianne Moore is very close to her daughter. So together what we got was a very authentic mother-daughter relationship. What you also got was that there was a level of innocence to the discovery of the powers. Oh, what are these powers? And then she's exploring them, which I build up in this version of the story. It was also very important to me that when she goes to prom, she doesn't necessarily have mastery of her powers, so that when something happens, if you notice, her powers start leaking out, and she wants to leave. She doesn't want them to come out, she doesn't want to be humiliated more, and she doesn't want to hurt anybody. She only stays because of her love for Tommy. He's been hurt, she wants to protect him, and the powers start coming out more because she's full of grief. At that point, then she turns it and becomes revenge. And it was really important to me, and we saw this happen in the screening process. As we kept working on it, the revenge story worked better and better. And that was really the key to making this work. You had to anticipate that she was going to get revenge, and you had to root for it. And when she did get revenge, you had to say, yes, I support it. And that's really dicey in terms of getting an audience behind a revenge tale, but you need them to feel that it's legitimate.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.